You guys ready?
Over there.
Yeah. It's just about.
Long minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Which one? Wait on. Here we go. Let's call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the
Allegiance
flag.
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We go on public participation. If anybody that wants to speak. Paul.
I do.
Paul?
I think I mentioned at the town meeting last month, and I was at the public hearing also. I think probably later on in the years, if we can probably retire the whole Kmart parking lot if we can.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of potholes, they're all in poor shape right now. The whole thing's in poor shape. That's why I'm bringing it up to tonight in public participation. One more, probably in the near future, we hope to see if we can try to get a bowling alley to be built here if we can. That's the only option I have here today.
Okay, so noted. Okay. So nobody else wants to speak? We'll move on to the articles, consideration. Are there any adjustments to?
The only thing I would ask, Mr. Chair, is Eric is here representing the ambulance department, and we understand that Mr. Abad wants to make a statement, and so Eric has to leave to go for training.
Okay.
That's going on right now, so he asked if he could possibly have Mr. Abad speak first.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
He's on Article 7.
That'll be Article 7. Is there a consensus that we would do that by the board?
Yeah.
Okay, the minutes will reflect that. Okay, we'll move to Article first. Monsieur Abad. You want to address the board?
Yep. For those that don't know me, my name is Ray Alaba. I'm from Madawaska, 593 Main Street, within a mile from the police station or the ambulance service, ambulance department. On the 15th of January, about 10 in the morning, my wife is having what we call now a seizure in my house. Somebody's supposed to pick us up at 10, we got a place to go. Well, first thing we were told is to call 911. I do call 911. And the responder's there, and he asks all kinds of questions. I don't know, how is it and all that, and your address and the formality, I'm supposed. And I said, where am I calling? He says, you're calling Holton, Maine. Oh, okay. So I tell him what happened. So nothing happens. Nothing happens. Minutes fly by. Listen, if you've seen somebody have a seizure, you'll remember it the rest of your life. But if you don't want to know. Okay? And that's my wife. Wait, and wait, and wait. And the guy's very nice. Stay with me, stay with me. Don't leave me, don't leave me. So all of a sudden I said, hey, listen, where's the ambulance? Boy, I'm looking. West. He says, I really don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Well, that's the dispatcher's job. Well, can you talk to the dispatcher and see what's going on? Well, I'm looking for the ambulance coming from town. I'm not half a mile, for those that know where I live. So, get the information, it's around the Caribou area. I said, what? It's around the Caribou area. Oh, don't leave me, stay with me. The guy was nice. Stay with me. Wait, and wait, and wait again, and wait again. Now, I don't know the procedures, but that's what I'm looking for as to what should have happened or not happened. So I'm waiting and waiting for the ambulance. I said, where is it now? He says, I believe it's in the Van Buren area. All the while, there's two here in Madawaska. Why no? I said, well, so finally, to make a long story short, and he keeps telling me, don't leave me, stay with me. But as soon as the ambulance comes in your driveway, I'm going to leave you. So the ambulance gets in my driveway, backs up. Okay, he says, I'm going to leave you. And in the between, he told me, is she foaming at the mouth? I said, yeah, a little bit. Breathe with her. So I kept breathing with her. She was breathing, and I was breathing on the phone, the way she was breathing. So that's when he says, well, it's probably a seizure. Okay, so I'm waiting and waiting. So they come. Now, my next question is, what happened? Am I wrong? Or somebody's not doing their job? Because I had to wait. And you know, you talk to people, if it had been 5 minutes late, the person would have been dead. Well, what I'm going to do for you guys, though, and I hope you follow through. If I have to authorize you and all of you, to get a transcript of the conversation I had with him, and also a tape recording, if it exists, I will sign any document you want to, see if I'm lying, if I'm telling the truth. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, this is where I'm at. What happened? Now, do you have somebody on standby? Or you don't have any on standby? And if you have somebody on standby, is it volunteer? Are they paid? Because when you get the transcript, I can't tell you exactly how long it took. But it took a lot of minutes for me to see my wife sitting in a lazy boy with her high heels, her little skirt, those that know her, and we're waiting to leave at 10. Well, 10 goes by and 10:30 goes by and all that. There's no ambulance in Madawaska. So my question is, what's the procedure? Is there a procedure? Well, what I'm going to do with you guys, I don't want to see an answer tonight. I don't need an answer tonight. But some of you are going to have to do your homework, then tell me and tell the townspeople in Madawaska, is there a policy? There's no policy? Is there anything wrong? So, what happened? Now, I think he believed, but why is he here? I don't know, because there's not too many people that knew that I was coming here. And he was invited, I don't know why, because you're not supposed to know what happened. But for your sake and my sake, something went wrong. And I don't want you to tell me, or Mr. Picard, Real, come see me in a few days, I'll give you an answer. Nope. You're going to give the answer at another meeting here as to what happened, or what should have happened, or what the policy was broken, or we didn't have a policy. That's what I'm here for. I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm just going to tell you that on the side. 2 weeks later, I had a massive heart attack. I ended up in Bangor on the plane. I'm telling you what happened. But like I repeated before, when you see somebody having a seizure, if you've never seen it, you don't want to see it. But that was my wife. I don't need an answer, I don't need a reply, but I'm just telling you there will have to be a follow-through. Am I right, or are we wrong?
You question why Mr. Sear was
Yeah.
here, he's the ambulance director.
Yeah, but I mean,
So when
How
you
did
have
he know?
something
Oh,
about the
okay.
ambulance department,
okay,
he gets invited.
okay. Because Mr. Picard talked to me at Shop and Save, I think, 2 weekends ago. And he said, well, in reference to what, the ambulance, that's all I said.
Yeah.
But, okay, that's the reason.
That's the
That's
reason.
all right, about that. But, I'm not, you can't, tonight, right here, you cannot tell me, give me an answer. I don't want an answer from you. I want an answer when you find out what happened. And put yourself in my position. All of you, put yourself in my position, how you're supposed to feel.
You mentioned the date was January 15th.
January 15th. I thought it was the 14th, 15th, but 15th was on a Friday, and somebody was picking us up at 10 o'clock. We were going someplace, but we never made it. When he came, I said, back up and over there, because the ambulance is coming.
9:50 a.m.
Yeah, but 10 of, on the 15th, 10 of 10 in the morning.
Okay.
So do you estimate that you had to wait an hour?
Well, the only thing you're gonna find out, I don't know how it works, the dispatcher, the
I don't know
transcript, or whatever takes the they're gonna have a documented date, an hour as to when the phone call was made. I'm assuming this is public knowledge, I'm assuming. If it's not, I will be more than happy for you to prepare a paper, or the legal profession, or whatever, but I'm gonna give you permission to get a transcript of the conversation and the verbal conversation that I had with the judge. Don't blame the guy in Holton. But when he told me, he says, where's the ambulance? Well, I believe the ambulance, the dispatcher, maybe I'm wrong, it's in Caribou. I don't know.
That's what he told you.
That's what I believe he told me. But all the while, there's 2 ambulances over here in Madawaska, and I don't live in mine. You know the yellow house on the right-hand side going before the Trustworthy store? That's my house. I'm not far, right?
Yeah.
But I had to wait for an ambulance coming from Caribou.
Can we hear from Eric?
No,
Yeah, Eric.
I mean, I'd have answers to all this right now.
Huh?
I'd have answers to this right now. I mean,
You
as
have
far as
answers?
policies and how things work. I mean, I don't know. if
Well,
you
you
want
tell
to-
them to, you tell the policy to them,
Okay,
then I'll be more than happy to come back, because I think the townspeople have a right to know what happened.
yep, you're right with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're not
I thought the
disputing that.
camera would be working, but I don't think it's working.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
so, I don't want to be a pain. And like I said, you don't want to go through what I went through. So I'm hoping that one of these days you can, first of all, if you want signed document that I authorize the conversation or the transcript, I don't have a problem with that. Maybe he can get it, I don't know, maybe you can get it, maybe you can get it. But if you need paperwork stating, well, you prepared the document, and I'll gladly sign it as to when I call. You will get the time that I call. They will give you the time when they got home.
On that date, did the ambulance from Madawaska show up?
It's an ambulance from Madawaska that was in Caribou.
But it was the Madawaska one.
Man, it was caught on, and
Okay, so,
Okay.
they're the one that took her to Fort Kent.
yeah,
Okay.
all right.
But my point is, like, again, I have been repeating, there was a break in communication of something. It could have been the dispatcher, it could have been the responder, but the responder told me, the guy that answered the phone, he asked me all kinds of questions and all that, the litany of what I gotta answer, where I live and all the address and all that. He told me that he's not, I believe he told me he's not the dispatcher, it's somebody else the dispatcher. And
And
was
this
I
was-
supposed to call the station? I don't think so. I called 911
From a landline.
from my house, landline, not a cell phone.
That's all, okay.
So Eric, can you just generally speaking?
Yep. When you call
Across.
911, you don't call the station. That's the worst thing you can do, because if they're on a call, there's nobody there. No one's gonna answer that phone. So that's why when you first call there, our answering machine will tell you, if you have an emergency, hang up and dial 911, because you don't wanna waste any more time. So you call 911, 911 will dispatch us. And that is typically, if you call from a landline, it's the dispatching in Bangor that picks up, and then they transfer it to Aroostook County Sheriff's Department, who will call you, or calls us, okay? And that morning, the ambulance happened to be out on a call. They had transported somebody to Caribou. I don't know all the details as far as our mutual aid services. That is information I can certainly find out from you for you. But our ambulance was on the way back from having already transported somebody to Caribou that morning. Unfortunately, there are patients that request that, and we kind of can't refuse that here. And they were on their way back. We are having staffing shortages right now. We're having difficulty with staffing standby. We do have a standby policy that we have a crew that works, two guys or two members that work at the station 24 hours a day. And then on some days, we have a backup crew sitting at home on call as well. Okay. That doesn't always happen during the day because we had a shortage. Back in January, we had a full-time member that was out with shoulder surgery. We were just struggling to fill those voids for standby. So typically when our first ambulance is out on a call, if there's no backup crew, we call our mutual aid services, which can be Fort Kent or Van Buren. Them too are suffering shortages right now. This is a nationwide problem we are experiencing right now. Nobody wants to be an EMT anymore. We're having a hard time finding people. We are being proactive, and we'll let you know we're being proactive. We got 2 members that got
You let
certified.
them know.
Yep, and they know. Well, some of them know. There's some new board members, but there are 2 staff members, Chris and Jessica, that became instructor coordinators last fall, and we're hoping to put up an EMT class here soon. We're hoping to get some local people that are interested in taking an EMT class. As for times and all that, I can certainly get that information. We do our run reports. We write down the time we get the call, the time we got to your house, the time we left your house. All those times are recorded on our electronic run form. So that is something I can certainly get if you need to. That's where we're at, Mr. Abad. I'm very sorry that has happened. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that are out of our control right now.
No, I'm not disagreeing with him,
understand.
not disagreeing with him. You know, you always hear the story, if the ambulance would have been 5 minutes late, he'd have been dead or she'd have been dead. You're not talking 5 minutes now. You're not talking 10, you're not talking 15, you're not talking 20 minutes. You're taking a long time. And that's where I'm at. I'm being told it's a shortage of staff. It very well could be. But if there's a shortage of staff, you still have to run the ambulance service. And for me, when he told me Caribou area, oh, Jesus. I mean, it just didn't ring. And I thought about it after. I said, was I supposed to call the office or was I supposed to call somebody? I don't think it's up to me. But that's what happened. So I'm assuming, like I said, he says he's gonna get the transcript and the verbal discussion. If you want it authorized by me, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
If he can't get it, but he should be able. And if he can't, I'll be more than happy to.
Eric, just a question, around that time period too, I think we had some employees who were out because of COVID. We had one employee.
I know we had one that was out for surgery. We may have had one out that was for COVID too around that time. I forget.
Well, it was not that the person had COVID.
Right, but they were
Their regular workplace
Yeah.
wouldn't allow the employee to continue to be an on-call
Yeah.
person for us.
Yes.
Okay, so that was another employee
That was
that
another
was there,
employee.
if you will.
Now,
that-
what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying. But put yourself in your ordinary position, anybody that saw what I saw. It's not good for your health. And the story about being short, I agree, that's a national situation. Everybody's short. But they're still what happened to me. Maybe I'm being selfish? I don't think so. So, whenever you get the information, don't send me a letter in the mail stating that this is it. Get me back here. I don't care if it's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month.
Yeah.
Get me back here.
Yeah.
Then you can tell myself and the public as to, don't come up with a complete answer that shortage of staff. You know, true, there's shortage of staff, but there's still a but.
So you want a fact-finding report?
How come?
Okay.
Or should I have called somebody, or should he have been notified by the dispatcher, or, I don't know how it works.
Richard, I
A question?
got a statement real quick. So I know, and Gary, you can state exactly how long ago, but a few years ago, we did switch from local dispatching, where the office was local to town, to the Aroostook County Sheriff's Office. And by switching, that drastically increased our services that we get from dispatching. And they do dispatch locally, so when they're in Holton and they key up their microphones, they're talking directly to our rigs and our guys here in Madawaska. So there's a direct connection. So when you call them and they dispatch us, it's people sitting at desks side by side. One person's on the phone taking the information while the other person's on the radio talking to the rig. So that way they can talk to the rig and talk to you at the same time and make sure that the data is going back and forth. And that part of things has been amazing. So yes, you do talk to somebody out of town, but they have direct connection to our emergency responders
Well,
here.
what happened that day? Ran out of electricity or ran out of something because there was no direct. I didn't know. At least they had the courtesy to say that, you know, the ambulance in Caribou is going to take you 45 minutes before you get the ambulance.
Well,
Nobody told me except one time. But like I said, he was very nice. The guy told me, kept telling me, don't hang up on me. Don't hang up on me. Breathe. Do what she's doing. What is she doing? Is she conscious? She was not conscious. She was out.
I can assure you there was not a dispatching problem, as I'm sure as soon as the 911 was called and dispatch was notified that they contacted Mid-1, which is the first ambulance, right away. They knew when they were in Caribou that they had another call and they had to take off, and they took off, and I'm sure they went pretty fast. And you know, I understand, Monsieur Abad, I understand your frustration, I get that. But they were on their way as soon as you called 911. They pushed that button and they radioed to them, and they told them that where to go and what they had. And again, I'll get those times if you guys just request it. You know, let me know exactly what you need, and I
Yeah.
can get that for you. And then we can hopefully rectify or Mr. Hebert's answers and his
Well,
questions.
thank you, and I hope that you understand that I don't want to hear it in writing. I want to hear it verbal, probably text in writing as to dates and hours, but I mean, you asked me a while ago how long did it take? Well, it'll take you from Caribou to Madawaska, and you gotta slow down somewhere. You can't do 60 miles an hour all the way. It's okay. Remember where I live, you know, my phone number?
We'll get back to you.
I'll be back here. All right?
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I still don't understand how come you
Are there any other adjustments?
I get the agenda,
I have
Monsieur Abad.
something for,
That's why, and they asked me to be here. 'Cause they didn't know
I still
what
noticed our
was going on.
personnel handbook hasn't been updated since 2017. So I think we
Good
would
night.
need to
Thank
make
you.
some adjustments to it. So I don't know how we can work that out, if you want a subcommittee or committee, or, because I'm sure there's changes that need to be made, or, because it's quite a few years without any.
Yeah, and the last modification or amendment to the personnel policy was in respect to the EBT policy, pretty much. And so as far as the meat and potatoes of the personnel policy hasn't been touched in quite some time. So we'd be due for a good look at it, to see if it meets the state, you know, if it meets.
Yeah, sure, some federal regulations have changed.
needs.
The last time it was updated by a subcommittee?
There was a,
Selectmen, or-
it started before I got here. There was a little bit of a committee that worked on EBT policy, and I think it was town employees and a board of selectmen or two. So I think that would probably work well, to have the HR director, myself, and a couple of board members, and maybe we could solicit somebody, a department head or two, to work with us, to kind of go through the personnel policy, see what might need some tweaking, and make recommendations for the full board.
Was that a motion that you wanted to make? To update?
Yeah, I would make a motion that we work some sort of subcommittee to update our existing personnel policy.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Second that. Okay, is there any discussion on that motion?
I would just say that you want to, at this meeting or at this future meeting, appoint a couple of board members to be on there. Would you want to do that now?
That's how I know it was an agenda item, I just wanted to bring it out so that it's
Yeah,
something
okay.
we could discuss. I mean,
You want to, as an agenda item next month, to appoint somebody as a
yeah,
committee, yeah?
so we can probably
We'll
give
have
some
that as an
names.
agenda item?
Yep.
Okay.
And the others,
Well, there's still a motion.
oh, sorry,
on the floor.
forgot about that.
Okay. Yeah, is that it for discussion? So all those in favor of the motion? All those against? Motion carries.
And the other issue is the library. It
Yeah.
seems to me that every time we bring that up, it's around budget time and it's too late, we don't have any chances to review the agreement that we have with them and what can be done, so. That's something else I would like to address, either some sort of committee or something to work with them, or,
Gary and I had that discussion this past week, I think it was, and our thoughts was that maybe two people from this committee could meet with their board just to find out what's going on, what their 5-year plan is or whatever, and then bring it back to this committee. Are you in agreement with that?
yes, I am.
Yeah.
Who's on that board right now?
I am right now.
Do you have a
and
copy of that
I-
charter or anything?
I had given it to Gary, to all the copies that I had, so he can make copies.
It's in my
and-
office.
So we can take a look at it.
Yeah, see, it has
Can you
everything.
make copies for us?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. On that,
That's-
you want a motion on that, or?
It's not necessary, just,
Okay,
that's something
I
we
think
can.
there's consensus on that, we
Yeah.
wanna move forward on that,
I don't wanna
have a
wait till budget
presentation
time.
in the future for the library.
Yeah, because I'd
Exactly.
be interested in meeting with them and
Yes.
going over that.
Perfect. Okay. The
Thank
minutes
you.
reflect that.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none. Move on to Article 2, to consider board minutes. First minutes for May 25 meeting.
I'd make a motion to accept the May 25 meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Second. Are there any discussion on those minutes? Everybody's read them? Okay. There's a motion, just approve the May 25 minutes. No more discussion, all those in favor? Those against? Motion carries. Move on to the June 15 minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion to approve the
Motion by
15 minutes.
Jason, seconded by Chris, to approve the June 15 minutes. Everybody has read them. Is there any discussion on that?
No?
Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Against? Motion carries. June 23 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Motion by Chris,
I'll second that.
second by Jason. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Those against? Motion carries. That's it with Article 2. We'll move on to Article 3, to consider the treasurer's warrants. Are there treasurer's warrants that have, they all been signed here?
Yeah.
So, we need a motion on that?
You do.
We do? Okay,
Yeah,
a motion to approve all the
Make a
treasurer's
motion.
warrants?
Yeah, I make a
as
motion to,
presented?
I'm sorry. I
Okay.
make a motion to approve all the treasurer's warrants.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Second by Chris. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those against? Motion carries. We move on to Article 4. To consider a liquor license renewal application for Shea Helens located at 119 12th Avenue. They waived the public hearing,
Yes.
so that, and there's no issues in the past.
There have been no issues, it's a straightforward renewal.
Okay,
Based off that, I'll make a motion that we approve that application for the renewal.
Yeah, I'll second that.
second that. Okay, any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion carries. Article 5. Consider a catering permit application, Big Ritz Burgers and Wings, located at 14 Country Lane Road, Madawaska, Maine. Do you have the date on that?
Yeah, hold on, it is.
September 25th,
Yeah,
2020.
3:30 to midnight.
Yeah.
2020?
2021.
2021?
2021, yes. Sorry. There's a
Okay.
0 with a 1 through it.
Okay. Is there a motion for that?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Chris. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion carries. Article 6. To consider a catering permit application for Big Rick's Burgers and Wings located at 167th Avenue, Madawaska, the multi-purpose building. And that is for a private event.
That is a private event on that date of
7/10/21.
from 5 to 1 a.m.
Is there a motion to approve that request?
Yeah, I make a motion to
Motion by
approve.
Jason, seconded by
Second.
Chris.
It doesn't matter.
You have a motion by Chris?
I made the motion.
Yeah,
You made the
second.
motion.
Second,
Yeah, yeah.
second.
Jeez.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Yeah.
Against? Motion carries. Article 7 has been taken care of, so we'll move on to Article 8. Consider a request from Mrs. Canad for one-day use of the Madawaska Farmers Market Pavilion. And you have the date on that too?
Yeah, it is.
July 10,
July 10 from
12 to 1.
12 to 1. This is not a typical use of the farmer's market, and so the bylaws of the farmer's market are pretty straightforward for produce and farmers and people who make things and sell things. You can buy things and resell things. It's not a currently approved use. So I don't have it in me to approve these as being authorized, these requests for using the farmer's market for other purposes, and so that's why I'm putting it in front of you.
So does it,
Is this the first request of its kind?
There have been requests to do stuff there in the past by other entities. I wouldn't have any objection to it. It's not going to interfere with the market. The market's not full, obviously, so I wouldn't have any concern with it.
is it stated what she's planning on doing, or
It is a, says it on here.
America needing that smell.
The public prayer rally.
That
Oh,
smell.
public prayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We did, if it helps you, last year, we got a request from somebody to do a similar prayer kind of thing. And the board approved that to happen over at the Boy Scout property there, the 11th and Main Street, 11th Ave and French Street.
Yep.
And that's where the board said you could go ahead and get set up to do that event, but that was more than 1 hour or half a day. It was potentially a weekend thing. And so the person had a tent they wanted to set up, and so the board directed them to set up over there. And our guidance on religious activities on municipal property, there's nothing that prohibits that. So we did get a legal opinion on that. The MMA legal had suggested it might be helpful in the future if the board adopted somewhat of a permitting process for entities or people who would want to request the use of public property, to have a process that's similar for everybody, so that's something that we could possibly take a look at in the future if we wanted to. But I don't have any concern with this, I just didn't feel like I had.
That was from MMA?
Yeah.
Did they have an example of one?
Permit? No.
Okay.
Does she state at all why she wants to have it there?
It's a nice facility. So there's a roof, it's a beautiful location. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have one there, I guess?
So with this, I understand the farmer's market's not full, but if somebody decided who's paid their registration for the farmer's market, are we blocking off that date so they can't go there, or are we still gonna allow them to go?
That would be my only question, is if we have somebody that has a seasonal fee that's paid, would they be able to set up and vend out of that?
There's room for 10 vendors in there, 10 by 10 areas, if you will,
Yeah.
inside the roof of the farmer's market. And so, are we gonna have 10 vendors? I don't think so.
I'm not concerned about the 10 vendors, I'm concerned about if 1 or 2 show up that day, are we gonna allow them to set up, or are we gonna say, no, it's booked? That's my concern.
No, I don't think she doesn't want to take the whole thing.
Okay.
She just wants a piece of, like a part of it in the front.
Okay,
That's
I got it.
That's important.
Yeah, that's all.
That's fine with me, as long as we're still allowing those who pay for their.
Nope.
I'll make a motion that we approve the use of it for this prayer rally.
Okay, second by
I'll second.
Jason. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Those against, motion carries. Article 9, to consider comments by Kim and Scott Levac from 842 Main Street regarding the site work to their property during the sewer line upgrade project of 2020.
Well, the date's wrong, it's 2019
2019, okay.
Yes. in the fall.
Ready to make your presentation?
Well, you wanna hear me?
The floor is yours.
You guys are aware of what happened at our house back in September, September of 2019. McGillen's Construction Company was doing work, supposedly, I thought, for the town of Madawaska, changing sewer pipes from 846 Main Street to our house, my father-in-law's house to our house. Working extremely slow, these people, but anyways, just one day we were like, our pet rats died. Or, there was a lot of stuff going on the side of the road, and so maybe there's something wrong with our water, because how can this be happening at the same day? Come to find out, they hit our sewer pipe. Contaminated our well. I have some papers saying it got contaminated, but they're saying that Micmac was not credible. They didn't want to take it, so McGillen's hired somebody from, I think it was Waterville, and it came out that the water was okay. But then Marquis Well Drilling, and I've talked to Sage Bouchou in Augusta, saying that depending how much sewage went in, it could be there for a long time. So I said, well, we're not gonna wait and see if the well's gonna, if it's contaminated, if it's still good or not, and we waited and we waited. I drove back and forth through town every single day trying to find everybody's hiding spot. Talked to Gary often, said they were working on it, and we ended up paying for all the damage. And when the McGillens put back the pipe, we were home, flooded, we were, cleaning our pipes, let it all drain out. Come to find out, the pipe he replaced was full of rocks. So it flooded in my house. So, what else do I have to say about it? It was ongoing. The side of the road, it wasn't correctly well done. So we had water going into our basement of the garage underneath, which was seeping into the house basement. So Scott took it upon himself to do a drain tile in front of the garage, because we've never ever had water coming down like we've had. And it was one time, because we even tried to grow lawn in front of the house, and we couldn't. And I asked Gary, I said, is there something you can do to put on the side of the road so water doesn't wash out the loom and the seeds every time it rains? He says, it's not a town problem, it's a state problem. So I made it my problem. I hauled with a four-wheeler. I'd go get some rocks at dust rocks at Peltier's and go bring it there, put it on the side of the road to try to do anything to stop the water from coming down our yard. And I have receipts of over $11,027.32 of receipts, and I know I have a lot more that I don't have. And why did we have to pay for all this damage? And I know that supposedly the McGillans, they want nothing to do with it. And you go see lawyers about it, well, it's all conflict of interest, and, oh, I don't know anything about it, and we would have had to go down to Bangor or downstate with it. So then why, and so this comes back again, why did I have to pay for it?
So who's been involved? Talk to lawyers, you said?
Yeah, it was all conflict of interest. Yeah. Mhm.
Richard.
I have another question is, has your homeowner's insurance looked into this?
No. I did not put it on the homeowners. I didn't, nope.
Jason?
So I did go out and visit the property a couple times, even in the rain, and it does look like the job wasn't completed correct in my eyes. Of course, Kevin could probably, he's been in road work longer than I have. He can probably correct me, but if you look straight down the street, you can see that all the other properties have a nice berm at where the road meets the grass, and the water comes down the street. But where the work started, you can see that the road now goes flat from the road straight down. And the water is coming off the road and going directly down straight to their house, which is something that wasn't there before.
And in front of my in-laws' house, there's rocks coming from under the road. For how long was that happening for?
Well, the state fixed it.
Yeah, no, the state fixed it, but they weren't too happy about it. So I think they said, well, we're gonna send the town of Madawaska the bill, cause, you know,
Because it was eating Route 1, just 2 feet deep.
yeah. So, and this year, we said, no, we're not touching, cause I spent $1,000 in loom, 300 and, let's see here, Tractor Supply for $217 of seeds. And that doesn't count the bags at Central that I picked up every other day to try to get my grass growing at the house. So we said this year we're not touching it. We're done. Like, if the road doesn't get fixed, nothing's gonna work well at our house. And there was one time though, Gary and Shane, Brent, the engineer. So I don't know if you guys saw that, I have a picture of my house, but the wall, we have a drain tile on the left side of our house going down. Brent wanted to connect the water that's coming down, connect it to our drain tile, but our garage is on this side. So how would the drain tile here stop the water all over there? It wouldn't. I'm sorry, it just doesn't make any sense that engineer would think that way, so I don't know. So that's why he took it upon himself and he made a drain tile in front of the garage. They had to cut up in the tar and, put that all together. And now that we cut into the driveway last year, nobody wants to come tar in our driveway. I'm like, even if you have extra, come look, please. Like, deliver some, some asphalt. I've been running around lately. Every time there's somebody, nobody wants to come because it's too much of a small job. So it's like, I'm done. So who should take responsibility for all this? To me, it's like, why us? I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for a new well. I didn't ask for, for any of this to happen. And I shouldn't have to put it on homeowners and have my rate go up. It's not us. It's the construction company that screwed up everything.
But you also signed a release from the contractor that did that, right?
Yeah, and she gave us $1,000. So she have pièces. I have $11,000. I'm not trying. That was afterwards when I tried to sue, and she said, well, she came over our house and she says, you know what? They're all lying to you. She says the reason that we didn't want Brent and supposedly Gary, they didn't want us to do the work is because they didn't do it the same. The McGillans were going to do it a different way than the engineer wanted it, which is the way we did it. Go in the front of our house with a drain tile and So she gave us $1,000, whatever. But that's it.
But you signed a release, so that means that they're not liable anymore.
Well, not anymore, no.
Yeah.
But everybody was saying there's nothing they can do. Then I found out that, yeah, go fight the town. So that's why I'm here.
Mr. Chair, I don't know what this agreement is between the Levacks and McGillens for the construction company. I don't see where this becomes a town issue at this point.
Yeah, but who hired the town? Who hired the McGillens?
I understand what they're dealing with. I don't think this is something that comes back onto the town with an agreement signed that says
That was between
accept
McGillens and
all
myself.
the responsibility for anything therefore.
But what did the town do wrong?
They didn't do anything for us.
I came to see Gary, I don't know how many times, and I asked him for a meeting between me and her, him and Dawn, and the engineer, and the McGillen Construction Company.
Never
I don't know how many
happened.
times, and I never got a meeting. We just kept putting it on the back burner.
Well, I can't speak for the McGillens, but they have an agreement here, so they're probably had contacted the lawyer and said, you know, this is settled.
Yeah, but that's fine with them. But I was told, Gary had said to me that the McGillens weren't fully paid, and that's their punishment. Well, why are we getting, you know? Why am I getting punished and having to pay $11,000 bill? Okay, minus 1,000.
We,
You know?
when McGillen broke the line, the
Yeah.
sewer line, and there were issues there, and there were issues with your damage to your basement, in your bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
We pushed hard on McGillen to make sure that they would work with you guys to resolve those issues. That was an issue between the contractor, that, they owned that project, that was theirs, okay? And we have an engineering firm to administer that project.
Okay.
So we pushed on those, on McGillen to fix those issues. But the last of it right here, the work and the issues with the water sheeting off US Route 1, McGillen was not gonna go back there because you
No, that was even before that, Gary. That was at the end. That was last
This
year.
was at the end, but the issue with the water coming across your property, McGillen was not allowed to go back and fix that. And this was a settlement agreement between you and them to say, fine, if we're not gonna be able to go fix that,
Mm-hmm.
and you wanna do it yourself, we need you to sign a waiver, because we're not gonna be responsible if that work is
Of
not.
course not, because they
is
said
not
that
up
you
to par.
didn't get paid by you guys.
No, McGillen did a lot of different work for us at a lot of different phases, okay? We are done with McGillen. We withheld payment from them and we kept pressure on them to make sure that things were getting fixed. When this was done, between you, the two
Mhm.
of you, our work was done.
Yeah. So Kim, huh? That's what you guys are telling me. And this is bullshit. I had to freaking get a loan from my father-in-law to get a goddamn new well at my house. No, it's not enough. You guys are not the ones that fought all last summer and busted your ass off. Look at my in-laws doing all this work by ourselves. No goddamn way. No. That's it. Take it out of my. No, I don't know. You guys have comments? Is it? Because we didn't even get a bottle of water at our house.
If
I
he'd
think
done his job at
Kevin
the
brought
beginning
some.
and pushed harder, it would have got resolved right away. But he didn't do it.
And now the state's pissed at you guys too, or pissed at somebody, because that work never got finished. They fixed in front of his house with the rocks, and they came all alongside the road and says, yeah, we own all up to the telephone pole. He says, don't tell us I have to pay all my guys to come fix that all up.
But that is a state road. I mean, we've heard your comments, but we're limited, we can't do anything else. There's no liability for the town here.
You guys hire these goddamn idiots. Oh, like,
So when we hire a contractor, I'm sure we have certain regulations. They have to have liability insurance. They have to have, so that if they screw something up, it does fall on them to repair it.
I think without this document, you'd have had everything you need
Yeah.
to carry forward.
From who?
with McGillen themselves.
Well, we've
That
been trying for how
liability.
long?
But I think the problem was that you signed the document, and that puts the.
So what would
puts the
have,
stall.
okay, so if I wouldn't have had that, what would have happened? Well, the town would have ran after them to come finish the work?
I mean,
Well, you
possibly.
probably would have had legal standing.
Right, I think you would have had more than what you have now. This pretty much takes all your meat and potatoes out of what occurred, because you agreed that you released everybody from
It was just,
responsibility
it was for
except
that
on
job
your
to
own.
do the drain tile.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the front of the house, it was for the drain tile job.
So, without,
Is it specified in that letter that it was for the drain tile?
no.
I didn't read any part of that in there, and it just said, this is all the work we've done doing there, and we're done with this work.
It pretty much covers everything from
Yeah.
unknown property damage, unknown personal injury, all other damages of whatever kind resulting or to result from all work performed. It releases them from everything, which it gives us no leverage on anything, so without anything else, I don't know if there was any action we can take,
Yeah.
so.
Chances are this was prepared by a lawyer.
Well, every lawyer from here to Holton were taken. So I didn't, not knowing how this all works. And not getting help from anybody, us coming here almost every other day, running after Dawn, running found the hiding spot behind Central Building every day, trying to get help to, oh yeah, you're gonna get a new well, or we're gonna put one. And the next minute, oh no, we're not. And it was like up and down for I don't know how long. And then we waited for the seat first. I know I talked to you last year. I think the McGillens are supposed to come and seed. Oh, anytime. They never showed up, but that was before that got signed.
So,
So the town se slave les mains en cours. All right.
so, am I right, did I hear right that McGillen was not fully paid for the job that was done?
And the McGillen has been paid for their job. The contract is
Full, okay,
closed.
so there was no money held back.
So why was it that you had sent that to me when I had talked to you? You said to me,
Because when there were issues,
mm-hmm.
we wanted to make sure that they got resolved. We worked with them to make sure that they took care of those issues, such as the broken pipe and those other concerns, okay?
Mhm.
But when it came to the landscaping,
Okay.
okay, you signed off on that.
Okay. But all right, so then the side of the road, what happens? That's not landscaping. That's a state road.
Exactly, so it doesn't belong back on us, and
But still you hired McGillens.
I think if you didn't understand everything that was in the document when you signed it, then, you know, it's unfortunate, but it pretty much takes away any authority from the town to be able to do anything else
Remember,
with
the
it.
town,
Once,
is the town
once
Madawaska
this was-
listed in there?
once
No.
this was signed, no, because the agreement was between you and them. And so the town was actually doing you a favor, Gary was doing you a favor by holding back, trying to ensure that they were gonna come through on their end. Or
No,
that it would
because
get
they said,
resolved.
no, we said, well, either do it yourselves or do you want the McGillens to come back? As if we wanted the McGillens back on our property.
So that was your choice, and then your other choice
Well,
was
no,
to
we had
sign.
spoken about it though.
So your other choice was to do that and then sign this document, which pretty much terminates any reliability back on the town. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I don't see any more action on this, and I think we should move on to the next article.
Now, move on, my ass.
Okay. So no action on Article 1. Move on to Article 10. Consider a request to withdraw reserve fund from the.
Have
Public
fun,
Works Department.
friggin' losers.
Oh, yeah, this one. Kevin's here for that.
Kevin, your Article 10 for, that had to do with Acadia Street.
Yes.
I drove by, saw that wall
Yeah.
falling over. Who owns that old house over there?
That's Mr. Buta.
Who's that?
Yeah. What happened is the middle of winter last year, that was a retaining wall that was made out of cement blocks, and over the years of just wear and tear on from the elements of salt and the elements that the blocks have deteriorated, when we were cleaning the sidewalks off with our little bobcat scraper, it just let go and the wall crumbled down. So now I'm asking for $18,500 to repair that wall. And if you look, there's photos of the damages, and then I got an estimate or a proposal from Ed Pelletier and Sons for the repair of that.
And that's just transferring funds from the reserve account, road
Yeah.
project reserve. He's just asking for authorization.
I'd make a motion to go ahead and approve the $18,500.
I'll second.
Second. Any more discussion on that article?
Is that the whole wall
From 13th to 12th Avenue.
the whole thing?
Yes, we're gonna remove the railing, they're gonna come in, do the digging, install the blocks. We're gonna reinstall the railing, straighten it out, and then it's gonna get hot topped.
Okay. Motion second. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Article
Thank
11
you.
is to consider the 2021 town declared certified ratio for main revenue service property tax division.
So this is something that's done every year. Certified ratio, I'll kind of give a rundown, quick summary of what that is. Every year in every municipality, their property is sold. And Main Revenue Services Property Tax Division looks at the properties that are sold, and they do a study. They toss out all the anomalies, the family transactions, land that might have been worth $100,000 that sold for $50, and things like that. Those family transactions are tossed out, and they look for trends to try to determine what the state valuation is going to be, right? And the state valuation, the state has their valuation on municipalities. We have our own valuation for the purpose of collecting taxes, and oftentimes there's a gap between the two, and that's, that can grow over a period of time, which would trigger a revaluation. Okay, and our last one was done roughly a decade ago. So, Madawaska's, the certified ratio does a couple of things. It helps to calculate the homestead exemption. So if this year the state's homestead exemption value takes $25,000 of assessed value off your property, your home property. The homestead exemption is multiplied by the town certified ratio. So if your property if the certified ratio is at 100%, the homestead exemption is $25,000. If we're certified at 110%, then the $25,000 is multiplied by 110%. And so the higher the certified ratio we use, the bigger the homestead exemption reimbursement or deduction for the taxpayer. The other thing that the certified ratio does is it increases the amount of our Betty, the value of our Betty equipment. Because our Betty equipment is depreciated down. Everything in Betty, all business equipment that is put into the Betty program, business equipment tax exemption program, runs through a program. Businesses have to declare their assets by April 1 every year, and those assets are depreciated on a sliding scale or whatever calculation the assessing agent uses, but it is then also multiplied by the certified ratio. So we have always used the maximum certified ratio that we can use to leverage the highest homestead reimbursement for our taxpayers, for those who have a homestead exemption, and also to leverage the highest Betty reimbursement from the state of Maine on property. Because property that is in Betty, we don't get fully reimbursed for like we would otherwise if we were taxing it straight as like property tax. We only get reimbursed 67.5%. It's different from each town. The reimbursement rate can vary depending on how much property, personal property or equipment is in a town proportionate to their overall tax base. When it's a large burden on the town, there's a lot of property in Betty, you qualify for what is called an enhanced Betty. And it gives us a slightly higher reimbursement rate. I think we were at 67 or 68.5% last year of what we would normally get if we taxed that property and we got a check from the taxpayer. So one way that we use the Betty program to try to get the most out of it, the reimbursement, is to put in for the higher Betty reimbursement. I gave you 3 years of Betty certified ratio history.
Yep.
You can see 3 years ago we were at 120%, and we're going down slowly. So now the 120% was at 110, and of certified ratio, what the state says, and then we can certify it 10% higher than that, right? So 120% is what it was. Right now, we're continuing to trend down, so the state's urban ratio for 2021 is 104%. We could certify up to 10% higher to make it 114%. That would be my recommendation. There are roughly 1,124 homestead exemptions, actual or estimated right now. And as past practice, to try to get the best homestead value for the taxpayer and the best reimbursement and vetting, I would recommend that we certify at 114%.
I have a question.
Yep.
Up to what point do we go, like our ratio would go that it would force us to do a reval
We're in good shape for a while.
for a while?
And so-
70%,
Huh?
70%?
Yeah, the trigger would be 70%, and we would never want to be that low. Some towns, I don't necessarily say they force a reval on a town, but they
It's
kind of
expensive.
urge you to do a
Yeah.
revaluation. I think once it gets to 80%, 85%, you want to start thinking about it and being proactive, because it's, when you finally do it,
It becomes a sticker shock.
it's sticker shock, exactly. And when you let yourself get to 70%, and then somebody you do a reval, some taxpayers might pay less and some might pay a lot more. And so you don't want to wait that long, because it can be pretty controversial and burdensome on the taxpayers. So,
The last time before 2008, I think it was around 84%, the state wanted us to have a plan,
yeah.
because we were going down every year.
Yeah, so we're still in good shape, and we had done our last reval at the peak of the market back in the day before the recession of 08, I think, and around there.
Yeah.
And so this is why we're kind of still in pretty good shape. Oh, we're in very good shape. Conversely, if we get to a point that the certified ratio goes to 90%, the homestead calculation will be multiplied by 90%. So there'll be a loss of homestead value. So the further you go down, okay, the ratio, the less of a value there is for the homesteader claiming the homestead exemption.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the 114% ratio.
Okay, is there a second to that? Second by Doug. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion carries. Next article is to consider and execute the main DECD Downtown Revitalization Grant Agreement.
So you have in front of you, and I have to get the original for you to sign before you leave here tonight, the downtown revitalization grant that we were awarded, that the townspeople accepted, and now the next step in the process is this phase 2, and basically what is the resolution to enter into the contract with DECD for that $300,000 revitalization grant that we're going to use to remediate the buildings over at the Kmart shopping center, our Midtown Shopping Plaza, if you will. So we would just need a motion on that. And if you have any questions on that, I'd be willing to answer them.
I'll make a motion, we execute the VCC downtown revitalization grant agreement.
Second that.
Okay, second by Jason. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those against? Motion carries. Is there anything else, Gary?
That is all I have.
That's all you have? Motion to adjourn?
Do we set up a date?
Yes.
Yay. You'll be on vacation from July 3 to 10?
No, not that long.
No?
Well, I'm gonna be, I'll be off,
I was thinking,
I'll be back here on the 7th
On
of
the
July.
7th?
Yeah.
I was thinking the 13th.
Yeah.
13 is open.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
13th.
5:30.
Okay, and now for the time.
Yeah,
5:30.
5:30, if it wants 5:30, doesn't matter to me.
I'm fine either way.
I work 24 hours a day, so.
Is 5 o'clock just that hard, or?
It's tight, yeah.
Okay.
5:30 on the 13th? Okay.
Anyway, I need a bunch of signatures from you guys.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Chris. Okay, we're adjourned.